All right, TCs, let's talk about auditing and improving your transaction management systems using AI. So if you've got ChatGPT, I've got the paid version of it, and that's what I am going to recommend for $20 a month. If you use it, it is worth it all day long. But if you don't, you can do some of this on the free version as well. So what I'm doing is I'm letting ChatGPT know that I'm about to upload. So this is for Florida specific, but I can do this in every single state that I'm in. But currently this is, you're seeing a thread, a long thread that is based on us improving our processes in Florida. So here's what I did. I started out by giving it this prompt. This thread conversation is going to focus on Florida-based real estate contracts and transaction management process. Again, you can do this for Minnesota, California, anywhere else that you're doing business. I'm going to attach copies of many of the contracts that are used in a Florida-based real estate transaction. I'm hoping that having these in your memory will help us to work through creating better systems, processes, transaction task list, date templates, and email templates for Cultivate Wins TC service. And since we can only attach 10 documents at a time, we're going to go ahead and we've got a little over 30. We're going to do it basically within batches. So I go ahead, attach the first batch of documents. The first thing that it does, and you'll see all these Florida documents, the ABA, addendum to contracts, blah, 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 all of them are going to be in here. And then what it does is it tells me what I've attached and what I've seen. This is it giving me a short summary of what it thinks each and every one of these documents are. And I say, fantastic, here's your next batch. So then I give it another batch. Then it breaks down each and every one of those documents. So it's getting an understanding of Florida real estate. Then I do the third batch. We've got 4 batches here. Once again, breaks down every single document. Then we've got the last batch, okay? So now based off of that, what is the next steps that I take? Then I say, excellent. Now I'll begin to document our process, transaction task list from contract to post-close for us to audit and improve. But before I do that, ensure our task list, could I ask you to provide me with suggested task lists that a Florida-based independent TC, transaction coordinator, might use to provide a high level of service to the agents, realtors that they are working with? Now, why am I doing that before I give it my task list? I want to see its point of view. What would it consider based on everything that it knows about real estate, everything that it knows about Florida real estate specific, everything that it knows about transaction management as a service? What would it suggest a typical task list would be? So here's what it's going to do. I won't read every aspect of this, but it's going to say, here's a robust transaction task list designed specifically for Florida-based independent TCs. This checklist is organized by stages because it knows already, because I've done work with it, that I like to break things into stages. From contract acceptance to post-closing. It knows already, because I've used ChatGPT enough, it knows that I do not agree with the phrase contract to close. I think if we stop as TCs at close, we should be fired. There are post-closing activities. So it already knows my verbiage. So do you see why having the paid program has been worth it for me? I've done enough work with ChatGPT. It already knows the way that I think, and it's taking that into consideration. So that's another plug for the paid program. It has a lot better memory, and I work with this thing a lot. Then it also says it aligns closely with Florida contracts, disclosures, practices, and integrates with Cultivate Wins 5x5 principles. It knows who I am, and it knows what my principles are, that everything is based on, it's informed by and filtered through the 5x5, which is everything needs to be scalable. Everything that we need to do needs to be scalable, duplicatable, freakishly predictable, effective, and efficient. Again, another plug for using the paid program. Let it get to know you. Then from there, it's going to build out the task list. And it's pretty interesting the way that it does it and all the things that it says. So I'm not going to read each and every one of these, but you can see it gives me something fairly thorough. Then I say, great, that's a great place to start. Thank you. I'll get working on documenting our existing processes, which I already have documented, onto a Word doc or spreadsheet, since it currently lives in A-Frame, transaction management software. I already had it in a document. I don't even know why I said that, but I'm kind of giving it context that I already have it within a transaction management tool, and that will make sure it's available to them on a document. And once I have that done, we'll be sure to share that task list with you, blah, 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 blah. See you in a few moments. Okay, so then it says, sounds like a plan. It makes suggestions for next steps. Okay, are you ready for another request? So before I get into the task list, I make another request. And this is what the request is going to be, there are a number of due dates to track. Now, I already have documented out every single due date that we track within our services. Now, most of that is based on the contract and a few other things. But I want to, before I show it my task list and before I show it my due dates, I want it to come up based on the Florida transaction or Florida contracts that we have shared, find all the possible areas for dates that are or are potentially associated with the transaction. And with that information, create a comprehensive list of dates that are needing to be tracked. Please put them in a logical order that may exist within a typical real estate transaction timeline. So why am I doing that? Because I want to see if there's anything, without it being informed by what I'm doing, is there anything that it's coming up with that I'm like, shoot, I didn't even think about that. I might have missed that. So I'm looking at their task list and looking at their transaction dates before I provide any of my own. And this is about auditing your task list and your due dates and your transaction management process. Do you see how I am pushing it along to give me all of its examples first? Okay, because I want to see if there's anything that maybe we have missed that they are doing. I can go and update mine and add a few of those other things and then have it audit mine. This is the process that we use. So it breaks down for each one of my stages that I typically go through. What are all the different due dates that they would suggest that we are tracking? Okay, so again, I'm not going to read all this. Mainly sharing a lot, and it puts it into a nice spreadsheet in here. Okay. Now, also, because I'm using the paid program, I've already taught my ChatGPT that every single time you answer a question, also end not only with your answer, but go ahead and give me 5 follow-up questions that would help me to think a little deeper about this and go deeper. So just in case you want to teach yours to do that as well. Then I put, here's a copy of our current transaction management task list for our Florida-based transactions. I would appreciate any thoughts that you have around improving this. So then I forgot to attach it. It asked me to attach it. I said, oops, sorry about that. Looks like I forgot to attach. And then it goes through and it starts breaking down some suggestions that it would have for me in my task list. So I'm just going to scroll through this. I love this. Practical enhancements to consider, suggested follow-up questions, blah, 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 blah. Then I went ahead and I gave it a screenshot because I didn't want to type all those out. I gave it a screenshot of all the actual date templates that we have within A-Frame, all the dates that we track. Okay, so that's for a Florida one right there. And then I said, give me, here's a screenshot of the dates we currently track in Florida based on the transactions that I had asked it earlier to go ahead and review what I have on there, give me its opinion. You notice that it already had earlier, and I'm asking it to do it again. Now, last prompt I have here. Based on everything you've seen thus far, Florida-based contracts, along with our current task list and email date templates. Now, I'm not showing it all my email templates yet, but you can imagine I could do the same thing, already have, but could do the same thing next. Could you please create an improved transaction task list and date template that we could use to better serve our clients? So now it's come up with its own philosophies. It's now seen all of mine. And now I'm asking it to basically take all of those things into consideration. It says, here's your optimized, refined, Florida-based transaction task list and date templates, clearly organized by stages, reflecting insights from your existing process, Florida-specific real estate contracts, and align fully with the Cultivate Wins 5x5 principles. Okay, so I'm not going to open all this, but it's a big, long thing going through its suggestions. So anyways, I hope that's helpful to someone. I know in 10 minutes, there's only so much we can cover, but I hope that this is one way that provides some insight to you as to how do you audit your systems and how can you use AI to help audit and analyze and improve your systems. It might just come up with retitling some of your tasks in a way that makes more sense. So it may just be verbiage. It may be that it adds or combines a couple tasks, or takes one task and it breaks it down into 2 or 3 tasks. There's so many different little suggestions that it can give, but I hope that this is helpful to someone. Have an awesome day. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.